Thank you for tuning in. This is One Up, and during this first ever episode, we're actually going to do something totally unique to me, and we are going to be doing Message of Hope. And Message of Hope is something that I was called to do, basically giving back positivity in the world, but inviting guests on to share their story about a situation that they had to deal with in their life that, made them, face something that was uncomfortable, and really finding the strength to push through and find new hope. So we're going to be talking to Rebecca today. And Rebecca, can you please say your last name for me so I don't totally botch it?
Yeah, no problem. It's Rebecca Plautz.
Plautz. Okay, thank you so much. So Rebecca is going to actually share her story with us today, and I'm super excited. It's about loving yourself and living fearlessly. So exciting.
Yeah.
First episode. I'm so excited. I'm going to just double check everything.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm super excited about this. Don't mind me. It's a little bit hot in here, so
You do whatever you need to.
It is so hot, guys. I think it said it went up to, just like 3 days ago, I think it said it was 60, and now it's 91 is the high today. So it has been definitely hard. How about you? Has the weather been good to you?
Yeah, so I'm in central Wisconsin, and it was super hot the last couple days, and then it's pretty okay today. I'm not someone that watches the weather, so I couldn't even tell you the real temperature currently. But Amena, where are you located again?
Virginia, Northern Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah. So near
Cool.
DC. So not too far from there. So yeah, so Northern Wisconsin. So is it still cool there now, or does it get usually warm about this time of year?
So it was in the 80s the last couple days for sure. So it's a little bit less today.
Okay, you're probably about the same temperature, I guess, range-wise as us then. All right,
Yeah.
awesome. I'm excited. It's something awesome and amazing, and I'm so excited for you to be my first guest. I do want to disclose to our audience today that me and Rebecca are part of an amazing team that I've got to know her over the last, I don't know, definitely been a couple months, right? And more than that, probably at least 6 to 8 months now. And we got to go to an amazing event in January, and and it's been an amazing journey so far with that endeavor. And now, welcoming her on as my first guest is totally exciting. So
yeah, especially I want to point out because
you're breaking up for a second. Hold on. Let me just double check my connection here. Okay, I lost you for a second there. I just had to reconnect. So, yeah, I lost you you said, especially since, what was that?
Oh, since we got to meet each other in person, right?
Yeah,
like we had been connecting a couple months before, and then had the opportunity to meet in person at our convention, and we got to actually hug and be in real life with each other. And our passions are aligned with everything. So it's super amazing to know that we can make connections online and then be able to take them in person. That's like my jam. I love that. So I love that I've met you in person and that I know your heart, and I'm super grateful to be your first person on here. So again, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Let's get to it. So what is your story, I guess? You said love yourself and live fearlessly. And so what brought you here today? What was the message you wanted to share? And when did this happen? When did you lose hope and, felt that you were in a situation that you needed to either seek something within you or outside?
Yeah, so when I saw you put this out there, I was like, well, my message might resonate with people currently with the state of where we're all in with the pandemic and everything, with a lot of job loss. So my story that I went right to was how I became an entrepreneur. And that was 10 years ago when I actually was wrongfully fired from a retail job. And I was so peeved about it that I was like, screw the man. I'm never working for the man again. I'm going to decide when I'm done. I'm going to, have that freedom to decide how hard I'm going to work, and then have myself to be accountable for, and if it succeeds or fails, basically. So I hated the fact that I didn't have a say in that. And from there, I made the pivot to decide what I wanted to do with the rest of my life and what that looked like, and to have that ability to decide that for myself instead of putting that fate in someone else's hands.
Oh, I totally can, understand. Imagine working for, somebody that, just is like up and just like, nope, no, not anymore. And just like, you have to have that willpower to be like, okay, what do I do now? Do move forward and find something new? Or do I just, like you said, take control of my own decisions, my own time, my own ambitions, and just make the change now while you have the opportunity, right? Because it's just sometimes, you just don't know if you're going to have that opportunity again. So I totally can relate to that. So what gave you, what did you have to do to move past that? Is there like something that you had to go through, like within yourself, to find, more hope to push you through?
Yeah. So it was, first of all, I should disclose, I have 3 children outside my door. So if you hear that, that's what that is.
I have as well.
real life. So I was young, right? I was like 22, almost 23 maybe, when that actually happened. So, right, I was young. And I was
now you're going to have to disclose how old you are now, because we don't know how long ago that was.
Yeah, it was 10 years ago. So yeah, I'm 32. So
I'm 38. So
yeah. So it was just that time in my life where I'm like, I don't know what I want to do with the rest of my life, but I know I don't want to just do another job that I'm not feeling fulfilled in. I didn't want a job. I wanted something that I was passionate about and something that I was excited to do. And so full disclosure, they fired me for perception. They said that I didn't smile enough and I wasn't cut out for customer service.
Oh no. Well, I can kind of relate. My first retail job, well, before that, they said I wore too much makeup. Can you imagine? It was because I actually wore eyeliner at the time. And
Yeah.
I was working for a place that was very country, like homey, and it was like a family restaurant, and I would be the one that took the money before they check out the door and stuff. And they said it's just too much makeup, just having eyeliner. So I totally understand. Yeah, it's one of those things that you just can't do anything about, It's like, okay.
It's sad because that's how we get put in those boxes, right? Like someone dictating to say who we get to be, and them trying to keep us in, how they see what we're supposed to be showing up as. And we are human beings and we have freedom of choice. And when that's taken away, that's where I was really like, I'm not going to just go take any job. So I honestly collected unemployment for a couple months and was really soul searching to figure that out. And at 22, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that was. It was just like, I'm not just jumping at anything. I know I want to find something I enjoy. And I am a lake girl. I love the water, but I was specifically raised on a lake. So I love sitting out at the lake. And it just so happens that I was on vacation with my family, and my bonus dad was asking me, like, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. Like, that's a huge question. How are you supposed to know that?
Yeah, it is definitely, especially when you're, it's not like you left, right? It wasn't like you had that, decision already planned, right? It was all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And so you said, let's back up here a little bit. So you said during that time, you had to seek support through, services and things like that. What kind of services are available for others that, might be listening to this that you remember really like helping you? What services are out there? Because I know some people might not know that information, and that would be good to put in. Do you remember who you reached out to get some assistance?
No, so honestly, when I'm remembering back, I really was I was looking at, jobs that were available in the area that I was in. I was searching in the community college that I was close to see what kind of classes that might catch my eye. And that's really like as far as it went. And then it was really just me thinking about what I enjoyed. And then it was, well, where does someone go from here? And asking that question, like what would my first step be? So that's what everything for me boils down to, like, what's one step you can take to just start the momentum and go. And that's really how I looked back at it. And I can see right now, like, it was really the start of my bonus dad asking me, like, what do you want to do? And I was like, he's like, what do you like? And I was like, I'm the girl with the camera all the time. I had a disposable camera on me all the time, capturing memories. Not even a real camera, guys.
I remember that. Yeah.
And from that, like, that's what I said. I said, well, I love taking pictures and capturing like moments when they're happening. And experiences. And that was when I was like, can you make money doing that? Can that be a job? And that's when I looked at the community college and saw that there was night classes that was just like starting out to figure out photography. So I was like, okay. So I took basically every single photography class, and our state did not have a photography degree then. So it wasn't like I could even have a degree in photography. I just wanted to start learning something that I was passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing that. I paid for some classes with my unemployment money and started going, and my family were my support that helped me pay for my first actual camera, and that I had no idea.
I want to jump in real fast here. So Rebecca said, she used her unemployment money to actually, not just use it to spend it on like just fun stuff, right? You actually used it to educate yourself, to move you past like you feeling the need you had to work for somebody. And I really have to admire that and really like give her much love for that, because that is something that, I think a lot of people struggle with, especially when they go through like a painful situation and just trying to find ways to rebuild yourself. And she said, I feel that I need to further my education and really support myself and what I want, looking toward the future the whole time, not looking at her present situation. And like I said, I encourage everybody to, always self-reflect on, what you want to be, what do you want to grow into? What is your passions? And actually putting, she put money into that where she might have needed it at the time. I imagine that extra money would have helped you, especially trying to, you are trying to support yourself and going to school, and buying equipment. I mean, it's a lot. So, I bet that was definitely a struggle. What other things did you have to deal with through that? Because how long did you have to go to school for?
So that's a good question. So like I said, I didn't like do, it would have been like a 2-year college, right? It was just like the community college. So I probably did, I think I did like 3 semesters of just taking classes in the evening whenever they were available. And I did like every niche in the photography area that they had, so I could try it all out. I did nature, newborn, families, like I did all of that to see what I really liked. But yeah, that investment in myself, that's something that I've always had in me. I actually knew, it's going to sound crazy to you guys, but I actually knew it was a seed in me when I was 12 years old, that I knew I was going to have anywhere from 3 to 8 kids, and that I would raise them differently, that I would raise them to be taught through life experiences and really anchor that in the next generation. That was just something that always called to me, that my parents, they worked really hard. My mom worked in a factory. My dad sold cars. Like, they were in separate houses, so we had 2 different places. So there was a lot on my heart when I was young to know that I was going to do things differently and that I was going to have a family to do that with. So when this all happened, I was at that stage where I had a fiance. So like, we didn't have a family. So I was ready to like make a move, and like those things were still there. And that time and space that I had from, the moment when I was fired and realizing like, I have to figure something out. Like, what am I going to do from here? I took that space to really think about what I wanted and what would bring me joy in my life. And then I made a move from there and just took that one step to like look at the classes and see what really fit with what I was, feeling in alignment with. And I just kept taking it step by step. Like, I wasn't locked into those classes, right? I was taking night classes. So that's another thing. Like, I didn't put too much pressure on myself. It was really just a feel for feel and taking it step by step. That's like my whole thing.
So also what I like to point out here, it was photography, and we're talking
Yep.
pre-phones at this point, right? So pre-digital. So if you don't know pre-digital, because I also have a background in photography, just I share that with Rebecca. I had a small company for a while in photography, but pre-digital was a lot different than it was, when we actually had film. And the cost of that is not cheap. Do you remember paying I think it was like $36 for a roll of 12, especially with that more professional grade, color and black and white. Black and white, I think, was like $75 a roll or something. Do you remember that?
No, so actually I'm like right at the cusp. Like the classes that I took are literally, those were digital.
Oh, you got
I was
actually
right at the transition of figuring it all out. So I didn't know that struggle and that get through all of it and figure it out. Like my teachers were all teaching digital, and I got this SLR camera, and I was like, "Ooh, DSLR camera! Like, what's this?" It was a new toy, so I don't know that far back.
Okay, but so you're still in, but even then, even the first digital cameras, because I remember that too. I remember having these hard drives we would have, and so you have the cards, right? And back then it was I think only 16 gigs. You couldn't get
they were small,
a half a terabyte or whatever, So we had this device, and you would stick it in, and you would download the photos off of it, so you could reuse that.
Yes.
Did you have a little device as well to keep your photos on at that time?
Yeah, I had a separate hard drive, and then that's the worry of them backfiring and it not working.
Yeah. And then you would lose everything. You would be like, oh my God, because you couldn't see them. You couldn't actually see them on the first original, professional grade cameras. So you just had to trust that you knew what you were doing, and make sure that hopefully you cross your fingers that you didn't lose everything, right? So during all this, transformation and everything, tell me a little bit about actually, how did so you started this photography company, right? And so you've been doing that for a number of years now. So one is there anything that I guess made you more stable during that time? You said you had a fiance, so you had his support. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we actually worked together at the place that I was fired. So that was another dynamic, right? But yeah, so we're married, and then we have the 3 kids together, so that worked out.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's the thing too, is realizing that's a good point to make too, is had I not had that job, I wouldn't have gotten fired. I wouldn't have met my husband. I wouldn't have been able to, make the decision, because I was pushed, right? I was pushed out the door. Had I been comfortable and stayed there, this is a huge thing. I'm all about getting out of your comfort zone, because my actual photography business is about transformation and empowerment, specifically empowerment boudoir photography for the last 5 years it's going on now. Which is all about transformation and self-love and self-confidence. And I wouldn't have probably had that confidence for years down the road to really jump in to be an entrepreneur had I not been so passionate about the way that it happened, and that it was the right time, the right passion, the right direction. So many beautiful things happen when we're in the chaos of it, and we're not able to realize it until we can really take a glance back and reflect on that. So I want to encourage anyone that is going through something right now that you think it's so hard, and it is, but really think about where the positives might be, and start to move your mind in that direction. I highly recommend that for sure.
And that's a powerful message right there. Just saying, that, wherever you're at, just if you have that inner passion, and then self-reflecting is a huge motivation. So it's hard to see it. It really is hard to see it when
Yeah.
you're in it. But then, looking back and just being grateful for the journey and being
Yes.
grateful for the new experiences and the new opportunities to learn something new. And so that's definitely a really good message to put out there. Is there any so when you were starting out, you were finding clients, and did you do that online, or was there a different way that you actually found them?
Yeah, so when I started out, I was, like every other probably photographer out in the world, which is, who are my friends that I can get to pay me $50 and hand them a CD? And I learned real fast that I hated that because I'm a full experience person. I always have been, which really to me means that like I don't want to just take their picture and send them on their way. I'm very involved. I love deep diving in conversations, getting to know them. So like weddings, I learned real fast that wasn't my thing. Families, I want like more one-on-one. I'm all about human connection. And I mean, granted, I did not know these things. This was the first 5 years figuring out that I didn't like those things, learning what I didn't like and seeing, who I am in my niche, in my industry, and what I'm most comfortable in and why I'm drawn to it. All of those amazing things that we have to really just go through the experience to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's a great journey to go on, but like again, that's self-reflection and realizing when that shows up. So what was the question that you wanted me to answer though?
So what was the I guess the now I have to think back here. So I mean, you covered a lot there that I want to pull from. So let me actually ask you this. So you said it took about a good 5 years to self-discovery. So let's talk about a little bit about that. So it wasn't overnight, so it wasn't immediate. It took you some time to really discover where you felt comfortable and where you felt more alive and how you wanted to give back with your services. And then I know we were gonna cover like, okay, well, where did your first clients come from? So we'll get to that next. So it took 5 years, and that's definitely some time. And what kind of like struggles that you had to face? Like, did you feel like giving up during that time?
Ooh, girl. So yeah, definitely. I had some crazy experiences with clients that I did find like through other friends, like referrals. I had camera issues, like pictures being lost. I had, starting out, I had some photos that turned out completely blurry and totally terrible that I would refuse to show anybody. And then I was like, let's do a reshoot. So like definitely had, the experience of just going through it all and figuring that out. And there was just so many things. So I actually started finding like mentors online too. And I don't know, Creative Live was one of the platforms that I used a lot of to find like mentorship. And that was a huge thing too, that like I said, I'm very much about personal development. And this was when, being an entrepreneur, you have to be looking for education for yourself and finding people to model and really push you to learn new things, because we're always learning. And especially as an entrepreneur, like you have to be constantly innovating and reaching for a better service, a better experience, because we're in a fast-paced world and we got to keep up with that to keep people engaged. So there was a lot that went on in that time. And I think the mentorship part was a huge thing for me, like at that 5-year mark when I really started realizing that stuff. But let me just say, like, that's when I was starting to have kids too. Like our oldest is 7. So yeah, it was like 3 years into my entrepreneur journey that I was like, okay, I'm having a baby and, we're doing this thing. And then I got into newborn photography, and my body couldn't take it because I have 3 kids that are within 3 years. So it's 7, 5, and 4.
Yeah,
So
I have kids that are really similar in age too. So it's a lot on your body. And then you're trying to, give services to other people while you're pregnant. And I've been there. So I know how difficult that is, carrying that, weight, and then, recovering and dealing with the newborn, especially being a new mom. You were a new mom during this endeavor. And, not only were you facing, the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur, but you were raising a life. You were learning the very beginning steps on, how to take care of somebody else on that level, which is huge. So during this time, well, even now, I imagine that you still face some, ups and downs, as well as, anybody that is definitely take the leap to be an entrepreneur. There's a couple of things that I would like to ask you, though. One is, those first rejections. Did you really have to struggle to like find your grounding, your place? During that time, like when, you went through all this, hard work to learn this new craft and find your place. And then, you get so excited, and then you get those people that, just don't see the vision. Don't respond, nicely, or, or they just don't have the same encouragement as some other people. And how did that affect you, especially, going through a lot, because, you just learned all this new skill. You were out there putting yourself out there. You have a new child that, that you're welcoming into the world. How did that all work out for you?
Yeah. So this brings me to like my most passionate probably topic that I can speak about, which is, how I really view fear and like insecurity or anxiety. Like we call it different things, but to me, it boils down to fear. And I've always looked at it differently. Granted, I did not know this until this last year of really reflecting and pulling through my full experiences as an entrepreneur and what this looks like. But this is a key thing. So I view fear as my best friend. And so in the rejections, in the hard times, like I knew that I would make it through it because I'm smart, I'm resilient, like I would find a way. And it's literally going back to that taking one step to just start the momentum. Not growing and staying stagnant, like we quite literally emotionally die inside. We need to be reaching for better in our lives, whatever that looks like for you. But I've always been someone that's like, I really gotta like go high, or I'm bored and I will check out.
So we're talking to Rebecca here. Say your last name for me again. I will get this eventually. So, Rebecca, how do you say your last name again? Police? Plautz.
Yes.
Okay, Plautz. We're talking here to Rebecca Plautz, and she's sharing her amazing story about how she was let go from retail and really forced to ask herself the deep questions on what now, and just discovering, well, she wants to be her own boss, and she wanted to find her passion within her, especially even though she was going through this really difficult time. She seeked some assistance to help cover some bills, but she didn't just do that. She used that little bit of money that you do receive, because I know it's not much, just not to just live, but to actually thrive, and use it to pay for classes and level up her skills that she knew she wanted to use to give back to the world. And in her area of photography, like she's been talking about here, is to really show would it be like the essence of somebody and how they are comfortable with themselves. I've seen some of your photography, and we can go into that. So, but
yeah, that's pretty much it.
How would you describe your style of photography? And I guess why that? So
yeah. That's a great question. I love when people ask, because in the beginning I was like, that's a great question, I'm not really sure. So I found out why, and it's really that human connection piece. I love deep diving and learning what makes people tick, what their passion is, what their insecurities are. And you can't get more personal than boudoir photography. And I found that because I had a friend that came to me about 5 years into my photography, and she's like, have you ever done a boudoir photo shoot? And I was like, no, what's that? And her husband was away at boot camp, and she wanted to do this for him. So it was a self-confidence boost for her. It was a gift for him. It was for their connection. And we had a blast. The pictures I say are terrible because it was my first one. I didn't know what I was doing, but hey, that's experience. And the point is that I found out, I loved the transformation. I loved, her just thinking like, oh, let's just see what happens. And like, the more self-doubt kind of thing. And then watching how she lit up when she saw herself the way that I saw her, the way that, you know, she felt. And then she actually saw that back. So that was a huge thing that really just from that moment, I was like, that was amazing. That made me just feel so on fire to help people be confident, because that was something that my world, my friends, my family have always said about me. Becky, you're so bold. Becky, you're so confident. I need that confidence. How do I get that? And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And it took me the longest time to figure out that that was a superpower that people did not have.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I really like the reasoning behind this, definitely. So you say, so your primary focus is the, how do you say it? How do you
Boudoir.
say it? Boudoir.
Boudoir, yeah, French word for bedroom.
Okay, boudoir. So is it mostly in the bedroom that you take these photo shoots, or do you go other places too?
Oh yeah, so my dream is to be doing this around the world. I want to do like waterfalls and deserts. Like I want to do anywhere that someone dreams of like capturing their essence. That's a great way to put it. And the true beauty of like who they are.
Yeah, okay. I totally see that. And that's an amazing empowerment you're giving these people, because, you know, like you said, how do you give that back? How do you, if somebody thinks you're strong and, you know, you're resilient, and they're asking you, well, what can I do to find that within myself? And just showing them as simple as a picture, like what you see in them, and then they finally discover it themselves and have that aha moment, like, wow, I feel really powerful now in my own skin, and I feel like I can do more, and I can, you know, be the best that I can, and grow and thrive as well. So, okay, you've been doing this type of photography for quite a while. Go ahead and, you know, what is, like, if people want to connect with you and things like that, what is the company name? Is it under your name?
Yeah, so my photography website is Rebecca P Photography. So you don't have to spell my last name. I just put the P there to keep it simple. So RebeccaPphotography.com.
Okay, Rebecca P Photography. So we spell that all out, .com. No spaces, nothing like that.
Nope, no spaces, nothing.
Really
Rebecca P Photography.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on there, I guess you do some packages or something like that. And
you can check that out. And
you travel, because I know that's going to be a big question. You know, are you willing to go out of your area to you know, provide these services to other people?
Yes, absolutely. That is my goal. Even like right now, I'm actually, so something that I'm stepping into with 2020 before any of COVID or anything like that, was that I was stepping into transformation and empowerment retreat photography for people that put together a full experience and provide that, because that's something that I've saw was in my eyes missing in the market, for them to capture more of, you know, the transformation that happens real in lifetime at retreats, because they're so powerful. The emotions, the connections between the facilitators and the attendees, like it's such a beautiful thing. And I felt like that was calling to me to help market the transformation in those smaller spaces with a little bit more than one-on-one, right? So that was something that I've stepped into for 2020. So retreat photography is definitely on my heart to start traveling with that more. And then I see how that could build relationships for more of that one-on-one intimate more thing going.
Yeah, while you're out there, right? You go through this experience with these people and see them transform and document their journey. But then not only that, you're there. So if they want a one-on-one, a more intimate, you know, session, they can definitely get that. It sounds amazing. Definitely. I could definitely see you doing that. Like I said, when we started this, we went to an amazing transformation event for ourselves. And I saw you with your photography equipment. And I definitely had to say something about that, because like I said, I've been there. I've been to my endeavors with photography was solely events. So it was the capture, and you better make sure you capture it before it goes, because it's so quick when you're in event photography. And I did a lot of weddings at my time, so it was very like stressful too, because you had to get that that one chance to capture it on film. But like like you said, that is your passion. That's, you know, definitely something that you want to grow, not only for, you know, to help these event people to show and document the hard work they put into people, but also to show that the people themselves have put in the hard work for them and made the transformation, because it all starts with the individual, right? Would you agree with that? Yeah. So
you have to be open. I think that's the biggest thing too, is like, that's part of my story too, is where, yeah, I can have a family member help me buy equipment. Yeah, I can go to the school and do, you know, some of the schooling, but then you still have to be open to the rejection and the hard things that are going to come with it as well. When we do get those little breaks, there's still going to be more no's. There's still going to be more hardships to go through. And really that, the fearless part of living for me is knowing that you can get through it, and that you can be resilient, that you can find the answers, and that, you know, who we are, it matters that we keep showing up and going for it.
yes, definitely. I can totally agree with that, especially, you know, yeah, with being an entrepreneur, I imagine you've gotten like a lot of rejections, I imagine, and just like not taking it to heart, you know, not taking it as like it's some attack on you as an individual. How is that when you first started? I don't think we covered too much of that. So just getting, you know, to the point where you're feeling comfortable with your skills and, you know, really offering your services. And then, you know, just taking those steps and going, okay, well, you know, this isn't working. Do I keep going? Or did all those years of, you know, getting this far really, you know, didn't, you know, fulfill me, I thought, as much as I should be at this point? And just to keep, you know, the momentum, you know, I imagine that was hard.
Yeah, definitely. So a big thing for me is that I'm a constant improver. So I've always known that photography is always, it started as my hobby, right? It was the one thing I knew I enjoyed. So it's always going to be there to some capacity in my world. Like, I have no doubt that at some capacity, I'm always going to be taking pictures. I'm always going to be capturing experiences, because again, that was anchored in me when I was young, that I want to teach my kids through life experiences. So naturally, I want to capture those moments with them. But the interesting part of that too is that I don't only do photography now. Like, I saw that my clients specifically were like, oh, they had self-doubt, right? Like, they need the self-confidence. So now I have coaching in place too. So I kept improving my experience that I provide them. So I don't just take their boudoir pictures, like I mentioned. It's professional hair and makeup. It's I have a lingerie closet, so they don't even have to go find outfits if they don't want to. I fit them right then and there, because we're building a relationship. We are connecting. And then I'm coaching them through the whole thing. So I go with them to get their hair and makeup done. I'm coaching them and connecting them to professionals that are in their industry. So I'm literally their connection to give them the most heightened experience possible. So my coaching is your connection strategist. I have the strategies in place to just make it an improved experience every single time. They go for a massage after their photo shoot. They come see the pictures the same day. It's a 12-hour process for one client. So it's not just like one thing. I'm very multi-dimensional.
Yeah, no, it's so with Rebecca, you can get a full experience, and that is actually, so it's a transformation in itself. It's not just, you show up, you're like, you have the, you know, some lingerie, you throw it on, you take some photos, you go out to a beautiful event, you know, you feel good, and you know, it's also like she gives you some direction and self-confidence to be in front of the camera, you know, being so vulnerable, because it's a vulnerable situation, I imagine. But not only that, like you said, you even are their whole transformation from the hair and the makeup.
I'm there to make it fun. I don't do anything unless it's fun.
Well, yeah, I imagine that breaks the ice too, you know. It's definitely, so, especially for some people that I imagine you've had some people that have been very self-conscious and very nervous for, you know, getting so vulnerable in front of you. So you have to build that relationship, I imagine, just to, you know, have them feel relaxed in their own skin, to really make it resonate through photos. And
it goes back to that being open to being who they are too.
Yeah, yeah. So what is your most, I guess, memorable clients? Can you share something like, what is your most memorable one? Did you have like one that just like, it just was, either it was something that went wrong or it was something that went amazingly
Yeah.
right?
So I have to share this story because I was filling something out and I was writing about it, so it's there. But I have a client that she came to me for a model call, and like she's not a real model. It's what I
Yeah.
call it when they come in. But so when you look at my website, none of those are models. Just disclaimer, those are real people.
And that's
Not the
Rebecca
models, real people.
Photography, right? Rebecca P.
Rebecca P.
Photography.com. Rebecca
Yes.
P.
Yes.
Photography.com. Okay.
Yes.
You guys got that? Okay, we're good. All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So she came, we did the photo shoot. She's now one of my like dear friends. I love her so much. So then I actually invited her to come back and do she did my commercial with me. And then we were outside for my first outdoor boudoir photo shoot. So I say I want to travel and do all these photo shoots in these exotic places and all these fun locations. Well, here is a fun fact for stepping out of your comfort zone and still saying that that's what I want, because my first outdoor boudoir experience with a client was interesting. So I had permission.
It's gonna be good. You gotta buckle up, guys.
So we had permission. I had permission from another photographer friend that she had a country land with her grandmother's land. Her family owns this land together, and the side where her grandmother was, there was like a river, and I wanted to do some water pictures, right? I wanted to get into the water and do some boudoir shots. Mm-hmm. And so we had permission. She talked to her grandma. And then, so we were there. It was me, I had an assistant with me, and then my client. And we had two separate cars. Well, I forgot to charge my second battery fully, and I saw it was getting low, and I was like, oh, can you go grab it? She had, my assistant had to run to town, go grab the other one and bring it back. So the car left the back lot and came in. Well, the grandma saw that, and we didn't know, like she was in the early stages of like dementia, I think it was, like when the sun was going down, like she would forget. And she just saw the car come into the lot, and she freaked out and called the police on us. And boudoir, guys, my client, my client was topless. My client was topless.
Oh, so here you are with the camera, and they're topless, and the cops show up? This is what happened?
Luckily, we were in a field, and then we were starting to walk back, but my client was totally comfortable with me because we're good. We're like besties now, right? Yeah. So we were walking back, and she was like, I don't care. I'm not going to put my shirt back on yet. And we were walking back, and we heard sheriff's department, and we're like, what was that? We're in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
They yelled out again, sheriff's department. And I was like, did someone just say sheriff's department? And we look ahead, and there's two police officers in front of us. And she's like, whoop. Oh my gosh.
Wait, I gotta cover up here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Crazy.
Dude. So what did they think was going on? Did they ask you, like, hey, what are you guys doing out here?
I can only imagine the thoughts going through the head. I can only imagine the stories they told going back.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
no, it was so funny. We laughed about it so hard. Like, she didn't even care. She was like, well, I hope I made their night.
Oh, yeah. So
that was just like a little funsy, and she loves when I tell the story. She's like, oh, whatever, I didn't really care. But it was just one of those things. It was a total misunderstanding, and they just made it call, and it was fine. Like, there was nothing wrong. No
so they were just like, oh, you're just doing a photo shoot. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, I was like, I have permission to be here. Like, this isn't a weird, like, let's break in and have our clothes off or anything. This isn't what this is.
What are you guys doing out here? Anyhow, this lady up the road called us, and she said that something was going on, so we had to come out here and check it out. And you're like, no, we're good. Yeah, that's a good story. Yeah, so definitely a good one that start the new journey with the outdoor.
I know to always carry an extra blanket to carry an extra blanket to throw it over someone in the case.
Yeah. So she didn't have any like backup clothes or anything?
Oh yeah, she did, but she was literally at that point, she was like, whatever.
Yeah. We're here. We're good. So thank you for sharing your story. It's been a lot of fun. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience and I guess, any powerful words of inspiration, quotes? What is your, I guess, your most inspirational thing that they can take away from tonight or today?
So my motto of living your life fearlessly and loving yourself, I end everything with that. Love yourself and live fearlessly, because when we love ourselves, we know that we can get through the things, right? We need to be turning inward to like know that, think about the times when you got through something hard and start to think about, did you have someone that was supporting you? What kind of a move or support did you have? And then realize that you can look for that again. And success leaves clues with everything we do. So finding out what you can do in your hard situations, whatever that is, right? Maybe you don't like photography. Maybe you've never been fired from a job. Maybe you don't have any kids. Like any way that you can just find one thing to anchor in and know, like loving yourself is where you can know that you will be okay and know that you can make a move, and any momentum is better than staying still. Like that is like the biggest thing for me. Like if you're inspired by anything that you've heard here, I want to encourage you to not go do anything until you take one step into action for whatever was inspiring you right now, because that's the biggest thing, is that we are consuming so much information that we aren't taking action. We're thinking that we just need to get educated. You need to get educated and you need to get into action, because that's where the momentum builds and we learn and grow from that. So if I can tell you anything, it's whatever is keeping you here to listen to whatever I was just talking about, like take one step and move in an action towards that. Maybe it's sending it to someone that you think needs to hear the message. Maybe it's, calling someone. It doesn't matter what it is, but something to get you into an action from what you just took from here.
Yeah, and I had to agree with that. It's just finding that that encouragement, even something we said here today resonated with you. If it's not for you right now, just if you have somebody in your life that's ready to take the next step, because it all comes within you. And you have to definitely be willing to grow. I know too many people that take multiple classes. They look for answers outside of themselves. Yeah. And it's all with you. If you are not ready, there's nobody that's going to give you that encouragement. There's no solution like through a class or through a course that's going to give you that encouragement. You just have to realize that your dreams can really come true as long as you are willing to get out there and make the moves. You are willing to take the information that in the moment. You don't even have to be very skilled at, like you said, with your photography. It wasn't the best photography, right? But I'm pretty sure your clients have been happy ever since. You showed up, you were there for them. They got what they needed out of that. You just to be present to give them the encouragement to, get past their difficulties. And so, it all starts within you to make the next move. Like Rebecca said, you're not going to be able to find a magic key until you realize, that it's just the baby steps. It's the baby steps that matter at the end of the day.
You are enough. Yep.
Yeah, you are enough. So I'd like to thank you again, Rebecca. Also, tell your website again and, make sure that they do know that, and how to get in contact with you if you have any, discounts or services that's special just for like this month, definitely make that known. Give me 1 second. We had the video over here refresh. So yeah, all right, go ahead.
Yeah, my photography website is RebeccaPphotography.com. So okay. You can check out photography services there. You can actually schedule a discovery call with me, and that can be about photography. It can be about coaching. It doesn't matter what that is. Or you just want to connect with me because you're like, hey, you had some great things to say. Like, I love meeting people and diving deep to like see how we can support each other in general. Or you can also find me and follow me on Instagram, and that's at Your Connection Strategist.
Okay, and I'll share those links too. I don't know where right now, but I'll share them in the comments, definitely.
Yeah.
Then I'll probably eventually have somewhere that, you know, people can actually get all this information easy to find in like a document or something. So, you know, so they don't have to be searching for it. But thank you again for being my first guest on this show, this podcast, One Up. I just want to let everybody know, you know, I would really appreciate you engaging, and hopefully you've gained some encouragement tonight or today, depending on where you're listening to in the world, right? And definitely, you know, re-listen to this. You know, find the little piece today, but re-listen to it, because that's what's going to keep growing you, just to give you the confidence and strength. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to have other amazing guests come on and share their story from all different backgrounds, genders, nationalities. So I'm definitely excited to, you know, share more stories with you guys. And I'd like, again, you know, Rebecca's been amazing. She's been a wonderful first guest on the show. This is a message of hope we're sharing, from struggle to success, basically, to finding that inner peace, which is, you know, a new success in itself. So thank you again. Yes, always, 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 always. I look forward to talking to you again. Of course, you're always in my network. So but, I'll talk to you later. Take care and have a lovely, lovely, lovely day. And yeah, let me know if you need anything. I'm here.
Thank you, Amena, and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.